In Zhangjiakou, China, in October 2017, something extraordinary unfolded in a rural community located 120 miles from Beijing. It all started when the residents stumbled upon a fascinating discovery in a field: an immense 60-foot set of bones. These bones belonged to a highly peculiar creature, unlike anything they had ever seen before. The locals believed that these bones belonged to an ancient dragon. Dragons hold great significance in Chinese culture, depicted in historical murals throughout the ages. However, scientists remained uncertain about the true nature of these remains. They couldn't conclusively identify the creature to which the bones belonged. Hence, the mystery surrounding these mysterious bones remains unsolved to this day.
I hope they're dragons. That'd be so sick, because that would just make the world so much more interesting, which I guess we have some pretty amazing creatures and experiences and locations and stuff currently that I think we should probably take more pride in and, you know, be a little more fascinated by, and not just only depend on the possibility of there being more than what we know. But we really got to start taking more time to appreciate what we have, you know, because I mean, in a lot of cases, what we have is more than enough. There are some very amazing places and very awesome creatures that I think don't get enough attention and respect from most people, because everybody is just like always wishing they had more. An overabundance of things that we don't necessarily need, even though it would be amazing if dragons and unicorns and all these things were true.
The city is applying pesticides to reduce the threat of the West Nile virus.
What the
Exposure to the pesticide, please. Go indoors immediately until the trucks have passed. The city is applying pesticides to reduce the threat of the West Nile virus.
This is the creepiest.
Exposure to the pesticide, please. Go indoors.
Look at this. What the It's going right on my window.
Yeah, man, that's pretty nerve-wracking. You figure they release mosquitoes that are supposed to be helpful to us, and then they are releasing pesticides to combat a virus that is transmitted through mosquitoes. Man, they're just not even trying to cover up this whole population control thing, are they?
This man was haunted by a demon that mimicked his girlfriend's voice. Giovanni Lima and his girlfriend Laura lived a fairly normal life in Brazil. But one night as they slept, Giovanni was awoken by something outside his room, mimicking his girlfriend's voice. A week later, things get worse.
Fuck. Nope. That's not happening at all. There's no way I'm staying in that place. I'm going to set the house on fire, and then I'm going to have the fire department put out that fire with holy water to make sure that motherfucker's gone. I'm doing it. Boom. Sleeping in a tent from now on. If I don't give a shit.
The final mission to save mankind has failed. The 70-mile-wide asteroid known commonly as Matilda is set to collide with Earth in exactly 3 weeks' time.
Could be scary.
It's self-printed, self-published, and it's by an author I've never heard of.
Open this door! Open the door!
2 divided by 3, 0.666. 666, number of the devil.
Of the month of September, in an early year of a decade not too long before our own, the human race suddenly encountered a deadly threat to its very existence.
Some alien life force has sent real-life video games
to attack us.
Again, man, I don't know. I'm not saying that there's no merit to numerology, but as I said in previous videos, if you look hard enough, you can find the answer that you're looking for in anything. You have to think about how many movies are released every year, and to only have a very small percentage, let's say 1,000 movies are released in a year, and then 3 of those movies just happen to have the number 23 in them. You know, at that point, you're just kind of like reaching for that, right? With that being said, today is September 22nd, and I'm recording this video to be released on September 23rd, tomorrow. And that is another complete coincidence. Or is it? Yeah, that first one, the first clip, dude, I'm gonna run away, but I'm also gonna beat the shit out of that ghost in that wig. It's just gonna happen. I'm not a violent person, but if you jump out of my closet wearing some fucking crazy shit, looking crazy, you're gonna get beat up. That's all I'm saying. And then I'm gonna run away, screaming like a small female child.
Is Stonehenge a massive Neolithic musical instrument? Well, believe it or not, there is a theory that it was. In 2015, a chap called Paul Devereux from the Royal School of Arts, they commissioned a study where they went round to the Preseli Mountains, which is the source of these lovely blue stones we see in front of us. Yes, I know they don't look blue, but the ones from Wales, striking them in different positions with this idea that the stones would sing and resonate in different ways, and that might be the reason why they appear at Stonehenge. And they were even given permission by English Heritage to come to Stonehenge and strike some of the stones. And they discovered that when you hit some of these blue stones in different positions, they create different notes, and hypothesized that perhaps the acoustics of Stonehenge itself is just as important as the solstitial alignments. Oh, interesting thought. Anyway, have a great day.
That's a super interesting theory. I know that I just saw a video recently where some temple, I think it was an Aztec temple. I feel like it's always an Aztec temple. I mean, there are other kinds of temples, right? This temple essentially was created in a way to where the acoustics allowed the sound from the podium to resonate through, essentially. So someone could be standing on top of the podium, and the people standing within the crevices in this like auditorium style temple would be able to hear him talk clearly without them having to, you know, speak through like something amplified. That's pretty interesting. I'm going to look more into this.
The lost city of Heracleion, Alexandria, Egypt, an ancient city exhumed from the depths of the ocean.
I've been practicing for months. Nope, absolutely not.
Mira, homie, boy.
I think it's pretty exciting to me, and also kind of creepy, that they find all this ancient stuff, these old cities, like underwater, like just this. I don't know, I don't think this is the same one, but Lost City of Hercules, they think they just found as well under the water, which was said to be a myth, kind of like the city of Troy was for a long time. Like all these places that are underwater, mainstream archaeology has found like one continent that's like underwater, and I guess it's been proven that there were people that lived on that continent. But it's interesting because how much water is all around us, all the land masses that are exposed right now. If the majority of that was once above sea level, that means that that's probably just like strewn about with things to be discovered from other civilizations. And interesting, scary. It's all very, very cool to me no matter what.
Hey, did you know that an area called Doggerland once existed in Europe? It was located in the present-day North Sea, between England, the Netherlands, and Denmark. Doggerland existed towards the end of the last ice age, about 11,000 years ago. About 10,000 years ago, the ice age finally ended, and the water levels began to rise. Doggerland eventually disappeared underwater, and Britain became an island. Now you know.
Not sure what's there exactly, how advanced it was, you know, what they had, or what we know so far, but there's an entire, like, massive area that people were living on that is now under the water. I mean, it's just another one, right? So, don't know if it's Atlantis, don't know if it's, you know, not Atlantis, don't know what they had, the capabilities or anything, I don't know, but super interesting, right? Not really creepy, but, you know, it's interesting, so.
The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek device found in a shipwreck dating back to around 200 BCE. Only a few of these devices have been found, and it is often referred to as the world's first analog computer. With gears and dials, this remarkable bronze device could accurately predict solar and lunar eclipses and determine the positions of the sun and moon in the zodiac. It could display various calendars, including the Metonic calendar used in ancient Greece to track lunar months and the Callippic cycle, which spans 76 years. Finally, the device could also track the positions of several planets, including Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Its whole purpose to this day is not fully understood, and its creator still remains a mystery, but it highlights the sophistication of ancient Greek science and technology, revealing their ability to explore the cosmos through complex machinery.
It's so insane to me that that was discovered to existed that long ago, and just 150 years ago everyone was still riding horses.
The epic poem written by Homer called the Iliad speaks about the city of Troy. Now, did you know that that city did end up existing? When I say it did exist, I mean that the ruins that we have left of it is barely even ruins. It's more pieces than anything. And that is because of the person who discovered it, by the name of Heinrich Schliemann. Schliemann here was a wealthy businessman who had so much money, he ended up going on a little crusade of looking for mythological sites from, Greek mythology. So he tried to look for the Palace of Agamemnon, which turned out to be the city of Mycenae. He also tried to look for Troy, and as you know, he ended up finding it. Or ish. Relying mostly on all of his sources, he ended up finding this little mound that was located in modern-day Turkey at this man's estate, who he even claimed, saying, "I believe, under this mound, I believe the lost city of Troy would be in there." So he ended up asking if he can go and do some excavating on it, which the man obviously said sure. But the way he was excavating was a little different than most. Now, when it came to excavating this mound, trying to find Troy, digging it just seemed a little boring. So Schliemann was like, I have a lot of money, so let's go and use the best invention that had come out during the time, dynamite. So he blew up the mound. And as you can see on this little map here, we ended up dividing this mound up into different layers due to all the different ruins that was found that came from different time periods. So Schliemann blew up the first layer and was like, this can't be Troy. So he keeps blowing up the different tiers until he gets to the second level, or what we call Troy level 2 or whatever. Now this level was like, when he got there, he saw all these bronze and gold tools, and he's like, I gotta get these things checked out. When we studied them, it turned out that was dated to the year of 2400 BCE, give or take, which was a lot earlier than when Troy actually, like, the mythological version that was told in the Iliad, was a lot, like, it was a lot earlier than it was actually built. So, you know, Schliemann accidentally kind of blew up the city of Troy that is told in Homer's Iliad. Unknowingly, at least.
Dude, as infuriating as that is to hear, it's still pretty... I can't help but to laugh. How do you... Oh my god. This mythical city that is spoken about for thousands of years, that nobody can find, that everyone is, you know, looking for, treasure hunters, archaeologists, whatever, for it to be proven to exist, and someone finally finds it and they blow it up trying to find it. Bro, F's in the chat for Troy.
What if I told you that there's a possibility that the Statue of Liberty is actually a statue dedicated to Lucifer? The left is a painting made in the 17th century, known as Satan summoning his legion. Now, the devil's original name in the Bible was known as Lucifer, or in Hebrew, Hellel, which means the light bearer or the bringer of light. Now, the Statue of Liberty is holding a torch. It's bearing the light. Now, the Statue of Liberty looks awfully similar to the Colossus of Rhodes. Now, the Colossus of Rhodes was one of the ancient wonders of the world. It was a bronze Greek statue. It was about 108 feet tall. And just like the Statue of Liberty, the Colossus of Rhodes has a crown of light. It's holding a torch. This statue was dedicated to the Greek god Helios, the god of the sun, the god of the light. In fact, many Luciferians refer to the devil as the great light. And this painting of Satan summoning his legion looks awfully similar to the face of the Statue of Liberty. I mean, take a look. Looks pretty similar to me. But it's just a theory. Who knows?
Man. Could you imagine seeing the Colossus of Rhodes, like, in person? How, like, beautiful that statue would be, though, to, like, see in person nowadays. Man, I wish all this old stuff still existed, dude. I love museums and art and sculptures and stuff so much. But as far as the Statue of Liberty goes, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense in the literal sense, right? Of it being like, you know, the light bringer. But I don't really know much else outside of that. So I don't know if you have any more information on the Statue of Liberty and the association with, you know, Lucifer or even Helios, because there are a lot of similarities there, obviously, between those two statues. You let me know. Let me know in the comments.
Our government has been working with aliens all this time. There is a conspiracy theory called the Serpo Alien Exchange Program that suggests that the elites have been in contact with the aliens for a really long time. Well, you see, according to this theory, in the 1940s, a UFO crash in New Mexico led to the government recovering a living extraterrestrial that came from the planet Serpo, located in the Zeta Reticuli star system, some 39 light years away. This extraterrestrial, known as the Ebens, started facilitating contact between Earth and Serpo, teaching humans about their technology, including their light-speed propulsion technology, basing themselves in New Mexico, a place where the UFO sightings might not just be a hoax anymore. It was also alleged that 12 humans were actually sent to live in Serpo among the Ebens for decades, and while the actual purpose of it is still unknown, the question we should be asking is, how much more do we not know if we didn't know that?
So let me ask you this. If you had the opportunity to be sent to live on an alien planet, just to study it, to learn about it, interact with them, would you do it? Would you experience the trip there, the whole experience of, you know, traveling wherever they're at, seeing their world, eating their food, seeing their wildlife, their just everything, just the differences between their culture and their existence and ours? Would you do it? Because I like my life. My life's pretty cool. I love my friends. I love my family and stuff. But I also just love learning and experiencing new things. So I think I would totally do it.
Have you heard about the Agartha network conspiracy theory? It's the idea that the Earth is hollow and a secret society called the Agartha network lives inside. They supposedly have advanced technology and supernatural powers, and control major events in human history from underground. Some people even believe the entrance to their world is in Antarctica. But there's no scientific evidence to support this theory, and it's widely regarded as a conspiracy with no basis in fact. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
So maybe you can answer this for me. If there's no evidence and there's nothing to base this theory on fact, where did it come from and how did it pick up so much steam? I know people write sci-fi novels, you know, people write movie scripts. I'm a writer. I write like scripts for commercials and stuff like that. That's what my day job is. So obviously people are very capable of coming up with, you know, these amazing ideas and these, you know, made up places and things. But for something like this, like a theory to actually kind of take hold in this place like Agartha, where does that come from? If you have any more information on Agartha and like where this whole theory like started, where it came from, please let me know in the comments. I definitely want to look more into it and share more of that in these videos. So that would be awesome. There, I'm going to stop it before anything happens. Up here, I also have another tone generator set to 525, and I'm about to show you what will happen with that. Things happen much quicker when you're using pure tones rather than the other stuff I was using on YouTube, which had like sounds mixed in with it. There we go, 528. And already you can see a much more stable fracture. Okay, I have to do this quick because this stuff does not last. 525, you can see there's a whole range of tones here, but 525, you're going to hear, you can probably hear the fluctuation there. There we go. If you don't know where that is, I do. Is in Sedona, and it is a well-known vortex phenomenon. There's several of them there, and you are witnessing a... Well, that's pretty nuts. I mean, it looked legit, right? Not just me, like it looked legit. I know that that's an easy visual effect. That's very easy for a visual effects artist to do, right? I could probably do that in After Effects, and I have no idea how to do it. But that being said, I don't know, that looked pretty legit to me. His comment on it saying, after he started describing where it was, like it's a common, well-known vortex phenomenon. It seems like he was having a hard time putting his words together, and that could be because, you know, it's amazing what's happening, obviously, but at the same time, I would think somebody with the knowledge to open a wormhole would be a little more, you know, articulate in how they're describing something happening, right? Unless you just kind of stumbled upon it testing things, which is very possible as well. I don't know. If you have any more information on this video, like if it was said to be like real or fake, let me know in the comments. Talk about it more in the Discord as well. Link is in the description. See you in there. I would absolutely love for that to be true. I would love for there to be so many more continents and things like that. But where does this map come from? Like, are these just all like, does someone just compile basically a big map based on like ancient texts and things like that? Like with like Asgard, and is it just like, oh, this ancient civilization talked about this place, so let's add this to a map based on where they said it's located? Or, oh, this, you know, ancient civilization did the same thing and basically just built a map based on like every story throughout mythology? Like, is that how this was compiled, or is it like journaled from explorers, or like what is it exactly? How is this compiled? How is all this information compiled in a map? How do we know where these continents are located? How, you know, adjacent from our continent, like all that stuff. Like, fill me in, help me understand this, because it seems at first glance, like right now, very far-fetched, right? Because I don't have any information about it. So if this is something you believe to be fact, then help me understand by dropping me some comments to explain it further, some other things for me to look into to get a better understanding. Thank you.
So does anyone believe in portals and in the possibility of traveling to different worlds or even different dimensions through portals? So did this man really travel to a different point on Earth, or a different planet, or even a different dimension? What do you believe?
Light can't really get through. You're not going to feel anything, you're not going to smell anything until the surface is literally moved. This portal becomes self-sustaining for like 2 hours. Are you going to go through it? Taking samples of this water. It's unbelievable. It's so warm. It's almost like it's just untainted. You can't see it because the clouds are covering it, but there are 2 suns right off there. One, and there's a lesser sun like right there. I think it's still Earth. It's Earth in a different time, maybe. There it is. Two suns. Crazy. Beautiful.
So yeah, I believe in portals. I don't know about the portals in this video. Certainly not the the parking garage footage. It was literally the same effect as in the Marvel movies. I don't know. The other ones were kind of cool. The one at the end there where the guy was stepping through to that place with like the dual suns. I don't know. Pretty wild. So here's the thing. I don't believe most of the things that I watch in these videos. So I'll occasionally have people in the comments being kind of combative because, like I don't believe everything. I mean, why should I believe everything, right? Why do you believe everything? I feel like so many people are neglecting everything that we've ever been taught in our whole lives, thinking that, just everything that we know, mainstream, whatever, is a lie or made up or to deceive us, which is fair. A lot of it is. I'll be the first if I can admit that. But basically, like, refusing to blindly follow things that we're told, but then blindly following things just because they're the opposite of that. And then kind of getting on my case a little bit because, like, I'm not doing the same thing. I try to look at all this stuff from a very unbiased, a more rational, more logical point of view based on my current knowledge of what I'm watching. Being that I was not brought up with all this information, I am watching it in an effort to learn more. Not only do I find it interesting, I find it fun, I find it entertaining, and I love the conversations that we have. I love learning. So, no, I don't believe most of this stuff. Yes, I am going to look at it and play devil's advocate, because science is the act of disproving things, not proving them right. You whittle it down, you take out all the stuff that's not true to get to the truth. Just like, oh, this is true because of this. That's not how it works. So, with that being said, please continue to send me things to help me get a better understanding of these clips. Alright, Bill Gates needs to calm the fuck down. Have a seat, sir. Stop messing with everything.
Hey everybody, Cohen here with Cohen's Phone Repairs. Today I have an update on 5G. Now everybody says don't get a 5G phone because they're dangerous because of the 5G. Now I have 2 5G phones in front of me. Right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be. And right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be. I'm sorry to break this to everybody, but every phone, and again, I fix phones every day, so you can take this from a reliable source. There's not a single phone in Canada that supports 5G. There's not a single carrier in Canada that supports 5G. It's a marketing scam. There's no such thing as 5G in this phone. What you're investing in is 5G for the future. So they're charging $200 extra for 5G when it's not even there. I don't know if this speaks wonders to you, but I think the government's doing other things with the 5G towers. So if this doesn't say something to you, I don't know what will. But again, I fix phones every day, and every 5G phone I fix does not even have a 5G chip in it. And right there is where it's supposed to go.
I'll say I believe that. I'll say I believe that one. My friend and myself actually have both turned off the 5G on our new iPhones because like the service was worse. Like I feel like we were getting much poorer reception to where we had to turn off the 5G in order for our phones to just work properly like we paid for them to do. So I don't know if you have a similar experience with that. If you've turned off 5G because it just wasn't working, or what you think the 5G towers are for. I've heard a lot of stuff about that, especially over these past couple of years with everything going on. But let me know what you think.
Have you ever heard of shapeshifters, people who can supposedly shapeshift into an alien or reptilian form? Now in the video that I'm about to show you guys, a man in Africa is able to shapeshift into a vampire. His teeth grows and his face changes. What's most astonishing about this video is that the people around him, even though they're very close to him, they can't seem to explain how he's doing so, and they seem very, very baffled by it. I want you to watch closely. How the heck is this man doing this? And is this by any chance real? Check this out.
Est-ce que nous on va camper choix personnel là. On va pour choquer la quitter là non. Sur choquer
Bruh, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I want to learn how to do that. Could be a magic trick. I have a friend who is a close-up, like sleight-of-hand magician, and he does outrageous things to where like you're like, I have no idea how you did that. Like you didn't even touch that, and what was in your hand ended up being in there. I don't know how they do it. It could have been something like that, or it could have been real. In which case, I want to know how it's done. So if you have any information on that, let me know, because that was pretty fucking wild.
Globe defenders often claim that since the moon appears right side up when viewed from the northern hemisphere, and upside down when viewed from the southern hemisphere, that this is proof positive of a spherical Earth. They believe that observers standing in the southern hemisphere of their spinning ball are literally upside down relative to observers in the north, and that this is the only possible reason the moon could appear inverted when viewed from opposite hemispheres. Anyone can easily debunk this flimsy claim for themselves, however, by simply taping a picture of the moon to their ceiling and viewing it from opposite sides of the room. The moon will appear right side up when viewed from one end of the room, and upside down when viewed from the other. There is no need for the entire room to be spherical, nor for observers to be standing physically upside down relative to one another to explain this simple phenomenon. On the flat Earth model, the moon as well as the sun are always located somewhere between the tropics, spending the majority of their time on or near the equator. So just like the picture taped in the middle of the room, people viewing from the north will see the moon appearing right side up, while people viewing from the south will see it appearing upside down. This phenomenon is therefore easily explainable, regardless of whether the observers are assumed to be standing upside down on a ridiculous spinning ball, or right side up on a logical level plane. Deeper investigation into the matter, however, reveals details that definitively determine which one it is. It turns out globe defenders are oversimplifying the reality of the situation when claiming the moon appears inverted in opposite hemispheres, because depending where and when you are viewing from, it is actually possible to see the moon at any 360 degrees of inclination. As you can see in the following photographs, the moon does not simply appear either right side up or upside down, but rather appears at all different angles. This is because the moon actually travels over and around the flat Earth like a wheel, making approximately 1 rotation per revolution. So depending where and when the moon is photographed, you will notice the rabbit or the man on the moon at many various inclinations. What you will not see, however, which you would most certainly have to see if the Earth and moon were both spheres, is different faces and areas on the moon. In the heliocentric model, they claim the moon is tidally locked to Earth, which means that Earth's gravity is supposedly so strong that it causes the moon to perfectly synchronize its period of rotation around its axis with that of the Earth's, so that we only ever see one face of the moon. Now, even if this was true, and the spinning spherical moon somehow perfectly synchronized its rotation with that of the spinning spherical Earth, observers viewing the moon from the high northern latitudes, observers viewing from the high southern latitudes, and observers viewing from near the equator should and would necessarily have to see at least slightly different faces and areas of the moon. It is simply not possible that observers viewing from such different angles could all still only see the exact same face. Observers viewing the moon from high northern latitudes would have to see a very different face from observers viewing from the high southern latitudes, and a slightly different face from observers viewing from near the equator. In reality, however, no matter where and when you look, you will only ever see the exact same face of the moon, albeit at various inclinations. This is only possible because the moon is actually a rotating translucent luminous disk and not a spinning spherical terra firma. You can confirm for yourself that both the sun and moon are in fact disks and not spheres by photographing them at different times and placing them in a square grid. If the sun and moon were both actually spheres, no matter where and when they were photographed, they would have to present a perfect circle to the camera, because every face of a sphere necessarily appears circular. If instead the sun and moon are both disks, however, then they should only present a perfect circle when overhead, and the further they recede away from the observer, they should begin to appear slightly more oblong due to the decreased viewing angle. Members of the International Flat Earth Research Society have performed this experiment on several occasions, and encourage skeptical members of the public to do the same, as they will find out for themselves which model actually stands up to critical scrutiny.
I love that he called them globe defenders. They're like a ragtag group of superheroes trying to defend. That's kind of funny to me. Globe defenders. I like that. I'm a globe defender. Well, I wouldn't say a globe defender because I am trying to, learn with an open mind, like why the flat Earth theory is so popular and well received and believed, as well as like the dome, the firmament, and whatnot. But like I said, it's taken a little more. It's taken a little more to convince me because I am currently a hollow earther, which I guess you could still be a flat Earth and have the hollow Earth theory. But I also believe that I do believe in gravity, and I also believe that the moon is a artificial structure that was brought here to basically make the Earth more habitable by some alien race, and that's why it's just kind of locked, and that's why it's so different, and that's why it's hollow, and that's why the craters are all the same depth on the moon, and that's why the dust on the moon on the outside is older than the dirt beneath the surface level dust, right? Because it was like dug out essentially. So the older core rock and dirt of the Earth is now on the exterior of the moons. So it does kind of like go against what I've chosen to believe and what resonates with me the most. But I am open to learning more. Obviously, I'm watching this stuff with an open mind. makes some very good points. I will say. So yeah, if there's anything specific I should look into as far as like where flat Earth is concerned that you think would help me get a better understanding and maybe even kind of help change my mind a little more, I would love for you to comment below and make some suggestions for me, or also join the Discord and send me some video links to check out. The link is in the description, so super easy to find. Love to talk to you in there. I'm pretty active in there, so.
Wake
Yo,
the
keep
fuck
this
up.
video, bro.
Just think people would have been christened here once. What the hell?
Y'all hear somebody crying? Pay attention. He's in an abandoned church, yo.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yo, what would y'all do, yo? Y'all hear his scream? Yo, his scream is real, bro. He got that joint shining right on. Pete though.
I would absolutely lose my shit.
Warning, do not watch if easily scared demon caught on camera.
Fucking nope. No fucking way. Dude, I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack on that one. Jesus. Guess, I mean, it warned me. It warned me. There was a fucking warning.
Oh man, I used to think aliens were real until the government started talking about them. Let's lay out all the facts, because a lot of things came out about those alien mummies that no one's talking about, that could actually prove whether they're actually real or if they've got something else planned for us. So while US Congress talked about non-human biologics, Mexico said, hold my beer, and one-up the states by actually showing these biologics in their hearing. They presented 2 bodies of mummified extraterrestrial beings over 1,000 years old found in a mine in Cusco, Peru. Aliens, like actual aliens, known as the Nazca mummies, and this is the Mexican government, like Congress, officials, all that noise making this announcement. They claim that all governments of the world, including the Pentagon, know about this, and if they say they don't, they're just playing dumb. Led by journalist Jamie Masson, who testified under oath, so if they find out he's lying, he's going to jail. My initial reaction to these was like, come on. I mean, these mummies literally look like a mix between E.T. and those aliens from Men in Black, no? The reason they look like paper mache is because they're allegedly covered with a white substance that preserves and, well, mummifies them. They were found in diatomaceous earth, which is a naturally occurring sedimentary rock that prevents the growth of bacteria and is why these bodies are so well preserved. Upon deeper medical examinations of these bodies, some interesting things came up. To start, they found that these aliens were dripped out with metal rings on their fingers, along with a whole bunch of metal implants within their bodies, made with rare metals like osmium and cadmium, implying that these aliens had advanced knowledge of anatomy and surgical procedures. Studies done by the National Autonomous University of Mexico, which is basically Mexico's MIT, pretty much confirmed these bodies are real, as in they are actual organic beings, but shaped unlike anything else on Earth. This was confirmed by multiple doctors. And what was their final diagnosis? To start, their hands are 45 centimeters long, and they don't even really have hands, just 3 long fingers that connect directly into their arm. They even did x-rays and ultrasounds to confirm they're legit, which would be pretty hard to fake but not impossible, which also showed 3 calcified objects deemed to be eggs or embryos within the alien with intact fallopian tubes, which honestly is even harder to fake, so impressive to see that. These things got 14 circular ribs, similar to a bird, so they're saying this would be a bird reptilian-like creature. A deep concave circular spine, meaning it can expand and contract its neck like a turtle. A significant air pocket in its head, meaning it has room for a complex brain. And it's also got light bones, no teeth, no nasal cavity, so it would likely only consume liquids or mushy fluids like smoothies. Now, the presenter Jamie unveiled a similar alien mummy back in 2015 and was apparently debunked to be a human child, which is low-key kinda twisted. Some articles out there claim the finger bones of these alien mummies are mismatched and the head is actually just a backwards llama skull, but still other doctors absolutely refute that. Engineering a Frankenstein-like human centipede using parts of other animals or even humans to create these mummies would be borderline impossible to pull off. Not just that, but millions of DNA sequencing revealed that 30% of its DNA is of unknown origin and unrelated to anything on Earth. Then they show footage of some more UAPs. Same old here, except now some of these are glowing. Going on to show alien-like cave paintings in Peru, and to be fair, Peru has quite some interesting ancient sites like Sacsayhuaman, complex of giant boulders, which they still have no idea how they were built to this day. But this isn't the first time the Mexican government came out with alien claims. Back in 2012, they revealed these Mayan discs they dug up from an ancient site claimed to be over 1300 years old, which famed physicist Nassim Haramein even gave a presentation on. They feature clear depictions of aliens and UFOs, but I don't know. This one seems a little sketch to me, like they just gave a kid a crayon and told him to draw aliens. There's a bunch more of these ancient stone tablets that feature blatant alien imagery from Mayan sites. Could be real, but they're in serious question. What truly does tickle my brain is the proposed age. These aliens are from the year 1000 AD, which would mean they've been around us for quite a while. Just look at all these ancient hieroglyphs, cave paintings, some of which date back up to 15,000 years old, Renaissance art, and artifacts featuring UFOs and beings with bauble-shaped heads. Look familiar to you? Now, this is all mostly according to DNA testing done by Mexican labs and universities, so we're taking their word for it. And of course, fact checkers and media are now claiming hoax left and right to calm the public down. But I think you know what it means when every major news source starts saying the same thing, with smaller voices on the internet claiming they've been told by first-hand sources that these bodies are very real. And the amount of detail in the scans of the eggs and the bones are simply impossible to fake. Possibly belonging not to otherworldly aliens, but an ancient subterranean civilization that has remained hidden for a very, very long time. But I don't know, they could be fake. And realistically, would the US confirming the Nazca mummies are real change things for you, or would it just make you doubt them even more? Or are all world governments colluding to pull off the greatest public deception in history? Haha, no, of course not. Why would they ever do that?
That's the most I've ever heard about this. I've seen little clips here and there and read articles here and there and stuff, but that is wild. I'm gonna go out and say that I believe it personally, just because I want to. I don't know. There's a lot going on here. Like I said, I'm 100% for believing Project Bluebeam. But way before I believed in Project Bluebeam, I also believed in alien life and the potential of other species living, whether on the Earth or in the Earth or whatnot. So I'm going to go with my first belief in saying that these are another species. These are an alien species. Also because I like that explanation a lot more, because it means that the government's not luring us into something we don't want to be a part of. We've had enough of that these past few years.
I don't know how many people know this, but often it's mind-blowing when you learn that some infinities are bigger than others. Joe Rogan just leaned 2 feet away from the microphone.
How does that?
Yeah, not all infinities are the same size.
But if it's infinity, then it's infinity. It's infinite. What is no?
Okay. Don't you remember when you were a kid? They said, "What's the biggest number you know?" 1,000,000. Well, there's 1,000,001.
Right.
Okay. How about a billion? Well, there's 1,000,001. The annoying kid always added one to it. Okay. How about infinity? Well, infinity and one.
Right.
Okay. Well, it turns out infinity and one and infinity are the same number. Okay. So here's so for example, the number of counting numbers. So 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. Okay?
Right.
The numbers you would use to count things. That's infinite. The number of irrational numbers. So the numbers that you cannot represent as a fraction. Okay? That there are more of those than there are counting numbers.
Whoa.
By far. So these are orders of infinity. Then there are more transcendental numbers than there are irrational numbers.
What's a transcendental number?
So that's a number that you'll never find as a solution to an algebraic equation. So pi is a transcendental number, e is a transcendental. These are magic numbers that show up in mathematics. And turns out there's like an even bigger infinity of those than there is of these other two classes of numbers. And they use the Hebrew letter aleph in in ranking. So it's LF1, LF2, LF3, LF4. I think there are 5 levels of infinity. So my point is, just because there's infinite universes, to me, doesn't mean there's infinite conversations that have happened. And I'd want to really explore the depths of infinities before I say and agree with you that this conversation has happened a million, an infinite number of times in just this way, except you have a different engineer sitting next to us,
and an infinite number of times where it's been Jamie too, right?
Yeah, in principle, that's the argument that's given. But I think that there's some nested infinities in there that deserve some explanation.
My feeble brain is not handling this well.
Well, that's fine. So the epigram on that is the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you.
That's rational.
And I've tweeted that before. And so it makes sense to you that the universe is under no obligation to make sense. Yes. So it's okay if your brain hurts when I say there's a ranking of infinities, but you shouldn't say that doesn't make sense, therefore it is not true.
I definitely wouldn't say that. But what confuses me is the word infinity, because I had always taken the word infinity to mean something that has no end. So how can something that has no end be larger than something else that has
So the way they do that mathematically, the way to demonstrate that mathematically is you map one item in the set of this infinity to corresponding items in the set of the other infinity. And so you do this. So you take the 1 and you map it to like the first transcendental number. Take the 2 to the second. You just keep doing this. And when you do that mathematically, what you find that one infinity outstrips the other infinity.
Wow.
And then you're left with more numbers. So that shows you that you have a bigger infinity.
Wow. My brain hurts now. I think I'm a fairly intelligent person, but there's a reason why I'm a writer and that I'm not a number doctor. Because, holy shit. But honestly, that quote that he just said, the universe has no obligation to make sense to you, that's probably one of the coolest quotes I've ever heard in my life. And that can literally be applied to a lot of things. Especially a lot of these videos and stuff that we watch. Like, it's okay if we don't understand them. It's okay if we don't have the answer yet. Like, the universe doesn't know us shit. There's an answer in there somewhere. And that's why we have to keep seeking and keep searching for it, right? To try to find the explanation that makes sense to us, the one that we understand that is still, relevant and relative to the actual, correct answer that we've been looking for.
Breaking news, a video of former President Barack Obama just surfaced and people are losing their minds. Check this out.
How do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
After this video surfaced, a lot of people are claiming that this is what is happening with Joe Biden right now. Because a lot of people are claiming that Joe Biden isn't even in his right mind, that his faculties aren't all there. And so some people are claiming that maybe Barack Obama is the one puppeteering him. But other people are saying that this is far-fetched and people are taking this video out of context. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Obama right here snitched on himself and he's the puppet master behind the whole, Biden presidency? I mean, let me know down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it everywhere, hit that follow button, and until next time, love, peace, and taco grease. But this video makes you wonder, what if he is on his third term?
Obama's not my favorite president by any means. He is, however, one of my favorite public speakers for the fact that he just speaks very well. He's very charismatic and he can make people like him, therefore getting people to side with him and do things, that he wants them to do. And being that I study behavioral psychology and sociology and even philosophy so much, like they're just very, very interesting topics to me. I love knowing how people's minds work, and I love knowing how other people are able to kind of shape those minds in good and bad ways. I do think that that understanding and those quote unquote superpowers should be used for good, because you can persuade people to do good instead of manipulate them to do bad. It's just unfortunate we live in a world where that's not always the case, but that's why I'm so interested in these kinds of things. And that's why I liked watching Barack speak so much, because he just had that ability. Keeping that in mind, I also think that Joe is definitely slipping into senility. I think that he he's probably not always, you know, the most aware and conscious of what's going on, or even what he's saying. And I think that there would have to be some justification for him to still be running things the way that he is, quote unquote. And I think that it's very possible that that justification would be to have someone basically helping him say the quote unquote right things, or doing the quote unquote right things. I'm not one that really believes that the presidents have the final say in anything. I do think that a lot of the times they're just kind of a mouthpiece, but I think in being that mouthpiece, I think that that person has to be likable. That person has to have charisma. And that person has to be able to kind of sway the opinions of the crowd. And I think that Brock did a very good job doing that. And I think that when he was in office, him and Joe did a very good job of doing that together. So I could see that partnership kind of extend over into Joe's presidency.
You think you know, but you have no idea. I will bet you $1,000 that something happens on September 24th. I guarantee it. This will be proof of what I've been saying all along. Do yourself a favor and follow right now so you don't miss anything. There's a part of me that wishes I wasn't right.
Dude, there's so many time traveling TikTokers. I would think if somebody were to come back from the future, they would do something a little more, I don't know, notable than just make TikTok videos trying to prove that they're time travelers, I would think. Unless it was unintentional, right? Unless they just kind of like zap through a wormhole or something like that, and they're just like kind of in this strange place, and they're just like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to get the word out other than social media. I could see that being the case, but I don't know, man. I'm very, very skeptical. Very, very, very skeptical of TikTok time travelers. I don't know. I think there would be something a little more than just vague, like, I promise something's going to happen on this day. And then, like, it doesn't. And then, like, oh, well, it will on this day. It's like, calm down, Nostradamus. All right? If you say something enough, something's going to stick finally. But that doesn't mean that you predicted it. You know, it just means that you guessed enough times and that math was on your side.
Some say these 7 laws that you're going to learn govern the entire universe. Principle number 2, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. When you look at life, it creates in patterns. Trees have roots that go down. They take in CO2. We have lungs that go up. We breathe out CO2. We take in oxygen. The flower of life, the Fibonacci spiral, the solar system versus an atom, the Helix Nebula versus the eye, a galaxy versus a hurricane. Creation, nature seems to mimic a pattern. Building on this, you can't travel within, standing still without. As you start to do some of this inner work and learn more and peel back layers and go deeper within yourself, as above, so below, it's going to start changing the way you operate and go through life. Your personality creates your personal reality. And this is why we talk so much about shifting and creating that ideal version of you that's already within you. You just have to shed off the layers, the baggage, the limiting beliefs, the ex-girlfriends who told you you couldn't, you weren't good enough, the parents, the teachers, all the programs, getting to that true core of who you are.
Yeah, okay, I'm here for it. I mean, I look at as above, so below as just basically being like balance. I know that the quote has bad connotations because people associate it with Aleister Crowley and thalassemia, and then, you know, all the bad shit that he did as a person personally, or the things that he thought of that people disagreed with or something. So now when someone says as above, so below, they automatically are associated with like a Satanist or an occultist or something much worse. But I've always been the kind of person that can separate the art from the artist, right? I mean, just because a bad person says a thing doesn't mean that that thing is bad. Bad people can have very good insight and can say very good things, and good people can have very poor insight and say very bad things. It all just depends, right? Like, you could literally have the worst person in the world reading from the Bible, and it doesn't make the Bible bad, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But again, I think as above, so below is a very applicable kind of outlook on things. It's like, okay, yes, there's balance in everything. There's good and the bad. There's bad and the good. And you need both to appreciate one another. So that's where I stand. But that's a pretty good video for somebody who's not very spiritual, right? I'm not a very spiritual person. I actually kind of cringe when I see hippies on the beach doing their like weird movement energy dances and stuff. It's cool for you, just not really my thing. But as far as that goes, yeah, it's a good video. Thanks for sharing it.
So here's the deal. People think this proves gravity. Well, if I let go of a helium balloon, that should prove anti-gravity, but it doesn't, does it? So that's a problem. Well, here's the solution. Don't call this gravity, call it density when this lighter falls in the medium called oxygen, which is the medium surrounding this object. If I hold it down in water and let it go, it will rise because there's oxygen inside of here. So there's no gravity needed, there's just density and buoyancy, which determines where this object goes, whether it falls or rises, depending on the medium it's in. All that's required to know is the atomic weight of the element. Hydrogen is 1 proton, 1 neutron, 1 electron. Helium is 2 protons, 2 neutrons, 2 electrons. So the atomic weight is based on the number of electrons. So hydrogen and helium are lighter than oxygen because oxygen is 8 protons, 8 neutrons, 8 electrons. Only when hydrogen combines with oxygen does it form the molecule of water, and water falls in oxygen, even though oxygen rises in water. It's based on buoyancy and density. So do you see the clouds are hydrogen atoms? The clouds, it's just a bunch of droplets of hydrogen. Well, it doesn't become a droplet until the hydrogen combines with oxygen to form rain. So those clouds are hydrogen atoms coming together with oxygen atoms, and that forms water, which is H2O, the combination of 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So only when hydrogen and oxygen come together does that form water, which then comes down, because hydrogen is lighter than oxygen. But water is not just hydrogen by itself. It's 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So of course water falls in the surrounding medium of oxygen. Hydrogen floats in oxygen, but oxygen floats over water, which is the combination of hydrogen and oxygen. You see? It's very simple. Density and buoyancy always wins.
I don't know, man. I think that guy just took an intro class to chemistry and now he's just saying a bunch of words. He wasn't necessarily saying anything wrong, but it's just like, I don't know. Just, again, dude, just reaching to try to find a different meaning in something that we already understand.
Did you know that every time you hear your name being called without anyone actually calling it, it's actually you in a coma and your family is trying to wake you up? Listen carefully, you'll be shocked. There's a theory that when we're in a coma, we still think we're active in our daily lives. Imagine that you're lying unconscious in a hospital bed and your family is desperately waiting for you to wake up, but you have no idea. Your brain is doing everything to keep you in the dark, creating an alternate reality where you're awake, living a normal life. Each time you hear your name, it's like a crack in that illusion, your family attempting to bring you back to reality. But deep down, your subconscious knows the truth, leaving breadcrumbs for you. That's why you seem convinced that someone has called you, when in reality, it's not at all the case. Moments of déjà vu and strange dreams are the clues to guide you back to reality. So, the next time you hear your name without explanation, perhaps you're actually in a coma, and your family is desperately trying to wake you up.
Honestly, I think I'd be okay with it. Not so much being in a coma, but, you know, just living out like a life within my head. And that's basically what we do anyways, right? Everything is just how we perceive it. I had a pretty intense fungus trip at one point, and I kind of came to an epiphany where, you know, during this time of influence, I was happier than I have ever been, right? I was looking at the world differently. I was just like, literally had tears running down my face because everything was so beautiful, right? It'll do that to you. And then I compared that to a time where I was like traveling. I was like on top of like Camelback Mountain, hiked to the top of Camelback Mountain. I was just looking at Arizona and it was just so beautiful, and it was similar to that. But one place I was actually there in person, seeing it with my eyes, and the other time I was just sitting on my couch with my eyes closed, and I was equally, you know, arguably even more happy just being in my head. And it got me thinking, like, you know, happiness is really just how we perceive things. It's really just relative to how we're feeling and what we're experiencing in that moment. And everything's basically just everything we experience, whether we hear it or we see it or whatnot, you know, it's how our brains basically perceive what's happening. You know, that's why people with psychosis or schizophrenia, like, they think the stuff is actually happening and they can't decipher it from reality because it's in their head and it's that real, you know, like lucid dreaming and whatnot. So being in a coma and just kind of living a secondary life without knowing really wouldn't be much different than living life we're living now.
Listen, Carrie, Mariah Carey's sister, talks about the sacrifices they would do for Mariah to get famous. Children between 1 to 3 years old were sacrificed, and this traumatized her horrifically.
We'd have these big circles of these Satanists around an altar where the people, sometimes in hooded, what do you call them? They were wearing these long cloaks that were brown with hoods, and they'd be in a circle or 2 circles, one inside of the other, by the altar, where there'd be live children and sometimes babies. So, and that would happen at night. I saw people get stabbed and start bleeding, and it would be dripping to the floor. It was children. The youngest I ever saw stabbed, I'd say it was about younger than 2 years old. And then there were several that were 2 and 3 years old. I can't imagine how anybody got away with that. The kid disappears. Don't detectives come try to figure out what happened?
Well, that's fucking terrible. I hope that didn't happen, but for the sake of argument, you know, let's pretend it did. I wonder why her sister would be in the room for that, right? I wonder why that would be such like an open thing, like an open ritual that like her sister. I wonder why she would be in the room with that. Why would you have other family members in the room for that? And at what point did that happen? It's crazy to me that these people that witness this stuff were even present during these rituals if they happened. This doesn't make any sense to me.
It's like me versus... Whoa, wait, don't give away too much, man. Yeah, okay, I can say clone, I want to say clone. All right, so there's like a clone in the movie that's trying to, like, me. Tell him it's directed by Ang Lee. Tell him when it comes out. Let's get a selfie real quick. Let's hop in for a selfie.
That was just Will Smith promoting his movie. Come on, clones aren't really real. That's CGI.
I have a clone. It's about a good 3 of me. 3 of me? Alright, I'm the first person to ever use it. I'm cloned. Okay.
Can you conspiracy theorists not take a joke?
Kevin Hart's crash, that horrible accident that really when you see the photos, everyone is wondering how in the world...
I have a clone.
They all survived. Kevin and the 2 other people were in the car with him.
You've seen people die from far lesser car accidents than that. Seriously.
Okay, miracles can happen. Just because he survived doesn't make him a clone. Come on, guys. Just because we can clone a sheep doesn't mean we can clone a human.
A woman claims a man who looks like Mike Tyson lured her into a... Now, the lookalike even has a tattoo similar to the one Tyson has on his own face. The real Mike Tyson heard about the investigation and shared a photo taken with fellow celebrity Jenny McCarthy. It places him in Florida when the incident in Houston took place.
So I'm not sure where I stand on the clone thing. I mean, we know it's possible. We know they're like cloning a woolly mammoth right now. We know they have done sheep. I'm pretty sure pigs and stuff. So humans are animals when it comes down to it. So I don't doubt that we have the ability to do that. I also don't really doubt that someone with enough money and a means to do so would actually invest in a clone. But it just makes me wonder why. Like, what reason do they have to do this?
You ever heard of the Bob Ross theory?
No, I haven't.
There's a theory that Bob Ross paints the landscapes and paints the areas of places where he hid bodies.
What?
Yeah.
Nah.
So take this in. This painting, it's called Happy Little Accidents. This painting is an exact like comparison to this real life place with this tree.
Okay.
And at this location, they found 5 dead women, half eaten alive.
Half eaten?
And buried under the tree.
Where is this?
I think this is in the States somewhere. But keep in mind the title, Happy Little Accidents. So
Happy
Bob Ross painted it
Okay.
and titled it Happy Little Accidents. Why is that such a sus name? You know what I mean?
Are his other paintings like also like
there's
murder?
There's another one that's like betrayal and grief. There's different titles.
Yeah.
But the theory goes that every single painting that he's done is a clue, or at least even the exact location of where he hid these bodies that he's killed.
Oh, so he's killed.
Yeah, he's killed.
What?
Yo, you can't be doing my boy Bob Ross like that. What a kind, soft-spoken, talented gentleman. What are you doing? Just ruining my childhood, man. But honestly, I mean, would it really surprise any of us anymore?
Eugene Reuben Akers. I don't want any money for what I'm doing because hopefully this video won't come out until after my death. So I have nothing to gain, nothing to profit by telling you what I'm going to tell you. In 1968, my father was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. We lived in Clovis, New Mexico. He was in the military police for over 20 years, and on his deathbed in 2002, we made a recording of what happened. Project Slam Dunk was the name of this. President Johnson in 1968, okay? in Cannon Air Force Base in 1968. He said by the time he got there, that there was already 2 large hangars that were connected. There was hundreds of dump trucks that came in and dumped sand and stone, and cement powder was powdered over the top of all that to make it look like a lunar landscape. They had men that fashioned it into a lunar landscape, he said. Okay, I've never known my dad to lie, so this all took me by surprise. You know, what's that all about? So anyway, he said that in front of the airplane hangars was pole framing with large canvas tents that was concealing the inside of the staging area. Inside the staging area, on flatbed trucks, was created the lunar lander that was reassembled back inside the hangars. All of the walls were painted flat black, and the ceilings as well. He was sworn to secrecy by the NSA, and they would put him in prison for breaking that oath. When Dad saw the moon landing on TV, he cried. He said he knew that what he had witnessed on TV was exactly what they recorded in that hangar.
Man, I've watched a lot of stuff on the moon landing. Like, I've watched, quite a few documentaries, quite a few videos, even just like videos from very well-respected people and people that I respect and trust a lot, who kind of lean in the direction of it not being fake. So there is a lot of science that backs it up being real, as far as, like what people talk about, like you can't see any stars. Okay, well, the moon is very reflective, based on the science that we understand of its composition. Here's what I think. I think that we went to the moon. I think that we did. I think that the footage that we see, I feel like it is doctored. I feel like it's not the real footage, because I feel like the actual experience of them going to the moon is something they can't share. I feel like they probably found some stuff on the moon. I feel like, probably structures, fucking aliens, who knows, right? I feel like the story that they're telling us about the first trip to the moon is not what actually happened, but I do think that we went to the moon. As far as the moon landing footage that they showed being real, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if some of it is, some of it isn't. All of it is, all of it isn't. I don't know, but that's my stance. How do you feel about the moon landing? Let me know what you think. Like I said, I've watched a lot of stuff on this, but I'm always open to learning more. But anyway, that's today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far and you are not in the Lucid crew, I appreciate you watching anyways. There's a very small percentage of my viewers that are actually subscribed, and a very smaller percentage of that are actually in the Discord hanging out and sending me videos they want me to watch. So if you like what you saw, consider liking, subscribing, even hitting the notification bell. That's a thing that YouTubers ask people to do, right? So that's cool if you want to do that. I'd really like you to be more involved in this community. Comment, let me know if you want me to look into certain topics, join the Discord, send me videos you want me to watch. This whole entire video today was just compiled of videos that the people in my Discord sent me and subscribers sent me. So, and a lot of it's things I've never seen. So thank you so much for that. Lucid crew, my people, all you guys that are buying my merchandise, all you guys that are, in the Discord, in the Lucid crew, engaging, growing the community, helping share the stuff. You guys are the lifeblood of the Lucid crew, and the reason why I do this for my channel. You guys make this so much more fun than I ever expected it to be. So thank you so much for that. I hope you're having an amazing rest of your day. And until next time, peace.